come in.
Do you usually get like a lot of people coming in at once?
Yeah, it usually takes like 1 minute, and then there's at least 10 people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is like my first live, so quite interesting for me.
yeah, yeah. It's easy to get nervous the first time. I was nervous as fuck. Mine.
I feel like I am too. I'm just trying to like chill out right now. I'm kind
Same. Yeah,
of
it's actually like that for everyone.
well, good. At least I'm not like a nervous wreck. But I
No,
have
no.
like anxiety, so I feel like it just pops up sometimes.
I think you're doing great already.
You.
You're welcome. Anyways, can you tell me how your day's been?
Pretty good. I've been kind of chilling today. I'm off, so I took the advantage to just kind of relax. Hello. Wait, I see somebody I recognize. How are you?
Which of them do you know?
Mellow Sloth. Remember you had like recommended my readings? He's been a client ever since.
Hell yeah, yeah. I remember
Since.
him. He's actually a regular here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He's always whenever I'm live, he's just always there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's awesome. Thank you for your support. I'm glad you like my readings.
Your readings are really good.
Thank you.
I know that from experience.
I'm the couch master. Respect the skills.
So, you go by Djinnia6?
Yeah, that's like the username, but you can just like people can just call me Kat. I don't usually put out my real name, so make sure you don't say it. Yeah. And
I
actually, you didn't know my
actually
real name until like what, like 4 years into the friendship.
yeah, yeah. Um, I wanted to ask you, so you're an Iraqi immigrant, right?
Yeah, like a first generation Arab.
Hell yeah, yeah. Um, so you're involved with a closed practice related to Jinn.
Yes, I
Can
am.
you t- can you tell my audience a bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, what it is called sihr. So for me, I've been practicing like demonic magic for like 9 years now. So I've been doing. Sorry, my alarm went off. When it comes to sihr, it's like more of a close practice, so it's not so open out there. I'm more new to that just because I'm taking it so slow. So I'm currently working with like King Paimon about it, and also Father Satan because he's kind of revealing certain things. Even though Father Satan's not necessarily involved, he still has like certain knowledge when it comes to it since they're like dark beings. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. So for 9 years, I've been an infernal practitioner. I'm still an infernal practitioner, but I've been getting into like more of a close practice for like my own culture.
Hell yeah. So we were talking about the shayateen. How do y'all
Yeah,
pronounce it?
the shayateen. So it's like you're saying it right. The only difference would be like the T is more like a ta. So it's like a letter that we have. You guys don't have that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The shibeen. Shibeen.
Shayateen.
Oh, interesting. I hate learning other languages.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, me too. Like when I first moved over here, because I live in Texas, so we're pretty close with the states. But when I first moved over here, like I had to learn English all by myself. I was a child, so it was a little easy. I think it took me like a few months, and then I just got better and better. But I think if I were to go somewhere else right now and learn something difficult, it'd be very hard, because I'm a little older now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you were basically a kid when I first met you, and
Yeah.
you were already, yeah, you were already working with Lilith and Azazel.
Yeah. I was 16. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you were a kid.
I had already worked with like multiple demons.
Mm.
But it seemed to have come like naturally, not like to sound like weird. But I felt very drawn to it like from a very young age. And to be honest, I look back at like my childhood now, like when I was like a little kid. And I would have like dreams of them. I just didn't know it was them because it's like I was a child, I didn't know. And I was not exposed to like anything like that because I grew up Muslim, so like they're super strict. about not showing their children certain like demonic things and things like that. So I had no idea what was going on, but I would have like dreams and stuff, and I would like wake up and I would tell my mom, and she would literally be horrified. Like, why are you having this dream? Like, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think it's just like my path, to be quite honest. I don't really feel comfortable doing anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can I ask, since you work with the shayateen and with demons, a lot of people who are into Satanism wrongfully think that they have a calling to Iblis.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Yeah, but I've noticed that working with Iblis and working with Satan, those are very
Different.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's similarities, but
Yeah. I think they're like okay with each other and like they don't have any issues between them. To be honest, I could see them like getting along as well because they are similar. But a lot of people get them confused. Like they kind of see Satan as like the Christian devil, and then they
mm,
see Iblis as like the Islamic one. And I'm like, I get that, but they're also older than those religions, like both of them.
interesting. So, if a Satanist wants to approach the shayateen, what should we know?
I would say like don't go so quick with them because they are a little bit different. They're like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I'm gonna try my best. With infernals, they're very fiery, they're very intense. A lot of infernals can be really patient too, like depending on who you're approaching, of course. With the shayateen, they're a little bit different, so they are very much like smokeless fire. They're very intense, like right off the bat. They have no problem completely showing up in person. First encounter, they have no issue doing that.
Mm,
They can be a little scary, but like if you're meant to work with them, they're not gonna do anything to you as long as you're like respectful. I think a lot of people try to command them, which is a bad idea. Because they can be really spiteful too. So I'm like, don't
yeah,
just be like respectful. It's pretty much the same if you're approaching them in like a respectful way. Just acknowledge that they're from a different culture and they have a different way of doing things. So just to kind of like listen to them and make sure that you're not immediately telling everybody what your experience is because they can be really private, even if it's like you're not doing like the close practice, but they might tell you something that's personal to you that they don't want you to share with other people. So it's always just ask, like, just be really respectful, ask them for their permission when it comes to certain things, and then basically just kind of like take it as you go and don't like have an idea that's already set. You know what I mean? Just keep an open mind and they'll show up.
yeah. There was one thing, since you know way more about the Jinn than I do, is there anything that you felt like I was incorrect about? Because I might need to be corrected.
To be honest, no. I've looked at like the things that you've sent me when it comes to like writing about them, and you did great. So no, you did amazing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think you're doing really good. Everything that you published was great, like your sources, everything. You weren't disrespectful. A lot of people, again, try to command them. I think it's a bad idea personally. But you were super nice and like you literally everything you described, I'm like, yeah, they definitely told him this because it's like it just sounded like them. You know what I mean? Like that mandate that you had posted about like Iblis, it just sounds
Yeah.
exactly like him. And so I'm like, I think you did great. So
Hell yeah. Glad to hear it. Um, there was somebody I spoke to who said that all the Jinn were elementally attributed to fire. Would
yeah.
you agree with that?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Whenever I was like growing up, like I was learning about them as well, like back in Baghdad. But basically, there's also I was told there was like water jinn as well. So it just
Mm.
depends. But to me, I kind of see them as mostly fire. I just might not have come across like the more like water ones, or maybe it was just Islamic ramble, to be honest.
I have heard of water related Jinn, but I've never heard of one of the Ifrit being attributed to anything other than fire.
Yeah, it's definitely just fire for them. I don't think it was Ifrit at all.
Mm. Wait, what do you mean?
So whenever I was like growing up, I was basically like I was like my mom would like talk to me about like religious things because she's very like she's a devout Muslim. So like a part of her thing was to like try to scare me off of certain Like Jin, just because I was always interested. So I would ask her like
Mhm.
all these questions as a little kid, and I think she just didn't know how to fucking answer them. So she would kind of just bullshit out of her ass. I'm not even gonna lie. Like she would just bullshit me just to kind of get me to like be quiet and not ask anymore. But she would basically tell me about the fact that there was like jinn that were associated with the water. Now when I got older and I started like getting into them and stuff like that, I didn't see anything like that, but it definitely wasn't like, marids or anything like that. Like those, I the way I see them is like afrits. At the same time, they're very fire. You can just tell by like even being around them, like their energy is very intense.
Hell yeah. So there was one author who I read a book from. He was saying that the 72 Afreet should only be called on for baneful purposes. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I can kind of see that. I feel like there's like each type of gin is very different. Like I feel like there's more like tame or calm ones, and then you have really intense ones. Afrits are intense, so I can see that. But I mean, if somebody has like a way of working with them and they're getting along with them a certain way, and they want to call them for like knowledge and wisdom, I don't see anything wrong with it. Um, I don't really like to put any kind of guidelines on it unless it's like being respectful, things like that. So it just kind of depends on the practitioner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Afreet are very intense. I find them, I like how intense they are.
Yeah, no, they're really cool, and I feel like they show results very quickly. The same with the gin altogether, like they're super quick. Anytime I've done like spell work where like I've spoken Arabic, things like that, like it manifests a lot faster, at least for me. But it could be just the fact that I'm also culturally tied to them, so maybe it works for me more than like most people.
Yeah, I've always heard that the Jinn were quicker with results.
Yeah, they're quick. They're literally like fire. Like I don't know, that's like the best way to describe them. It's like a literal flame with the way that they work.
That's what they say, right? They're born of the smokeless fire.
Yeah.
How would you describe the smokeless fire, by the way?
So for me, I kind of look at it as, you know how like if you look at a flame, the bottom of it is like blue and it
Yeah,
like looks up. Like I kind of see that as more a part of the gin. Also the smokeless fire thing, like I do see it as like a black flame
that
almost,
does make
which
sense.
yeah, which so Azazel is also like connected to them, of course. A lot of people think that Iblis and Azazel, the way we pronounce it is Azazil. So like his name is pronounced a little bit different. But they think that they're the same. I could see them being like connected. I don't think they're the same, but I think they're. You can kind of see that like black fire almost that's there.
That makes sense. Speaking of, you said Azazi?
Azazil. So it's like
Okay.
the Arabian way of saying it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll have to steal that, actually.
Yeah, go for
But,
it.
there was one thing I was curious about. There was, this other practitioner who works with Shaitan. What he told me was that Shaitan, Iblis, Azazi, and fuck, Melek Taus were four layers of the same being.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Um, so they are connected. I haven't personally, I haven't had any experience with Melektaus, so that's like again the way we pronounce it. I feel like I have to pronounce things in like an American way first to like make sense, but I hope I'm like it's making sense for people. It just feels wrong for me to say it. I don't know, but I haven't had too much experiences with him. However, like whenever I was growing up in Baghdad, so like whenever I was growing up there, farther up north is where the Yazidi temples were, and he is part of that
Yeah,
religion. So they was like very close to me. I just never really connected with him like this. Um, but I can also see him like kind of connecting with Lucifer as well. Like there's certain attributes that they both have that are similar. However, I haven't worked with Melek so I really can't say too much about him. But for the other ones, I could definitely see that because they are extremely similar, but they still feel a little different. So they are connected to me.
I actually have very limited experience with Melek Taus as well. It's not just you.
Yeah.
And in case you're wondering, everyone understands you perfectly.
Okay. I'm glad.
Yeah. Um, I also want to ask you about your experience with Lilith.
Okay.
Um, how has she affected your life?
I mean, she's wonderful. She's given me only positive changes to my life. I would say when I first started working with her, it was quite surprising, like to just kind of like feel her. Because whenever I started my path, I was really young. So I started around like 13, 14. I don't know why, but I was just like, fuck it, let me just try. Even though I was like deathly scared because I grew up like Muslim. So the way I was taught, like things are, it's like you're gonna die if you try it. And I'm like, let me just try it. So I spoke to Satan. That was literally my first spirit I ever spoke to.
Mm,
Didn't show up. Or maybe he did, but at the time I was like so new. I didn't really know what was going on. But then he started showing up, and so I started working, with my other spirits. Started working like Beelzebub. Mostly they were male demons. And then I got introduced to her. I had learned about her briefly, and then she kept popping up in my head. Like this was around like 15 years old. She kept popping up in my head, and then around like 16, I was introduced to her by someone who was quite toxic. But to be
mm.
honest, I don't care who introduced her because it's like at the end of the day, I still have a connection to her, not depending
Yeah.
on the person that introduces her to you. Um, but yeah, I was around like 16. I'm 22 now, so it's been like a long time being like her devotee. But she's only affected me positively. I also, learned of her origins, like in ancient Mesopotamia and stuff like that. And I have Mesopotamian ancestors, so I feel like her and I just clicked very well. She very much like represents also what I think and like the way I grew up. Like my mother's the complete opposite of her, and so I found that kind of like ironic, if that makes sense. Like the way I was like placed in that kind of situation in this life. I'm like, I don't know if that was on purpose, but my mother is literally the exact opposite of her, and then I grew up getting close to this deity who is so different from the parent I grew up around.
It's funny that you would say that because my mother is also the opposite of Lilith.
Yeah. It's, like, kind of funny, but I feel like maybe it's, like, a lesson or some sort, like, the way that we're supposed to, like, grow up and, get to know these deities, maybe it's a lesson for us to kinda be around people that are more the opposite so that we end up, very much, like, getting along with these spirits because we find out, "Hey, I'm more suited to work with you than I thought," you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You mentioned primarily working with male demons when you were new.
Yeah.
I actually did the opposite. I was not like I primarily worked with female demons.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for me, it was, like, I didn't really like, the way I was researching it, I was only coming across the male ones. I don't know why. But like the ones that would pop up in my head, because I went by like what's popping up in my head. Like I wasn't picking them. I would have dreams. And then I'm like,
Mm,
okay, like I'll describe it. Like I'll go on like Google or like go into books and things like that. I'm like, what is that? And then it'll be like a specific demon that it falls under. And I'm like, this sounds like, the dream I had or the name I was hearing and things like that. So I never really picked them. I just went with whoever was calling. And it was mostly male deities until she approached. And I feel like maybe it was because like I grew up around like my mother, she was kind of like just strange, like just a strange person and very like closed-minded. So I feel like Lilith was kind of waiting for the right time to approach and she was like, I'm here. And I'm like, I want to work with you. But she kind of introduced me to that like feminine demonic energy and it was really nice to have that type of change.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but to see like the comparison between her and the male ones, of course they're both wonderful, but it was nice to have like a female demon around instead of like just male ones.
Oh yeah. Um, I won't lie to you. I was really just not in touch with my inner masculinity when I was
Mhm.
younger. Like I was tough and I was muscular, but my personality, I hadn't embraced or actualized my masculinity at all. I had to learn how to do that from demons.
Yeah. It kinda makes sense though that you had approached the female ones then, and then, like, they did the male ones, like, slowly start coming in, and then you started getting more acquainted with that energy?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much what
and it
happened.
made me
It's like
more
the
acquainted
opposite.
with myself.
Yeah, because they definitely teach you
So,
more about yourself.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, shit. Can I ask more about your experience with Azazel?
Sure. What do you have like specific questions?
Do you work with him? How do I put it? I know there's different aspects of him. For
Hmm.
example, there's the eagle made of metal, whose wings, feathers, turn to blades when they fall. Do you work with these individuated aspects?
I would say no. I have kind of felt pulled to them, but I haven't necessarily approached those specific aspects. But for me, I kind of work with the more genic, like slash Saturnian aspect of him. Um, he's very much like he kind of keeps me in check. Um, because like I need that Saturnian energy a lot. So for me, I kind of work with the more like darker aspect of him. That's just, the scapegoat.
Hmm, interesting. What about Lilith? People talk about, Akabishia Lilith, Tanin these different aspects of her. Do you work with those at all?
Yeah. With her, I've worked with a lot. Just because I feel that ever since she approached, she kind of just dominated everything. So she took over completely. Now I do work with the other ones, of course, but I do focus on her the most. So I was devoted to her. I believe I did it when I was like 16. Um, and I've been devoted to her ever since. But recently, I got devoted to Satan. So that was like a new spirit that I'm actually focusing on as well. So I speak to them both every single day. Like that's like part of my thing for them now. But when I was like first being introduced to Lilith, like she dominated everything. So I looked into like every aspect of hers. Like I looked into every like historical thing that she's tied to, any like cultures that she comes from. So yeah, the spider aspect of hers I have worked with, like Akobishia Lilith. She's wonderful. I actually have like a hand tattoo, and it's a spider, and it's for her. So I got that literally for her because this entire arm is supposed to be all representative of her. I know this is like I don't know if you can really see it that well, but it's like a lantern,
We can see
but
it
it
real
just
well, and it looks awesome.
thank you. It's supposed to I also have like her sigil right here. But it's supposed to like represent more of like the Middle Eastern aspect just because it's like, like the lantern and everything. But yeah, like I want to build this whole arm up for her and like kind of use like her other aspects to kind of place like specific art about each one and
Hell
just make
yeah.
it her. But yeah, I've worked with pretty much not I wouldn't say like all of them because there's so many, but definitely like a good amount.
Hell yeah. By the way, are the scorpions on your clavicle, are they based off Belial?
No, I don't work with Belial at all. I'm a
Shit.
Scorpio, so I just got the scorpions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just like astrological at that point.
So people ask me about occult tattoos all the time. I never know how to answer because I don't have tattoos.
Yeah, I don't know why they ask people that don't have any.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
Can I ask how the tattoos affected your practice? If they
I
did?
feel like I feel like it did. Like I feel like they made the connection like more intense. I also do have like a Zazel sigil like on this arm. I just don't want to like pull my whole shirt down right now, but
Yeah,
um,
of course.
like that's pretty much all for right now. And then ever since I stopped getting those, I've been just saving money, so I haven't been able to really get more, but I have like all these ideas about like occult tattoos. For me, anytime I get like a sigil, it has made like the connection stronger because it's basically like on my body forever, of course.
Yeah.
Um, as for other like representative tattoos, like the spider, for the spider aspects of hers, she got just very happy about it, and I feel that I very much connected with it. Even after getting it, I feel like I've been seeing more spiders and been getting like more pulled to that. So I feel like it does start a connection, and it shows that you're like devoted. You know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Personally, I go with occult necklaces instead of tattoos. I've
Yeah.
got a lot. I like being able to take them on and off. Like
Yeah.
I definitely don't want the sigil of Archangel Michael around my neck or on my arm when I'm summoning Lord Cernobog. I think I
Oh.
would regret that the most.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I think, that's funny. Imagine. Um, Yeah, no, I get that. They are very permanent. So definitely like, to the people that haven't gotten them, like definitely be wise in which ones you're getting. Because there's also like for me, the way I approach demons is very much not Solomonic. Whenever I had gotten the sigil of Azazel at the time, his like letters were around. And I had even told him, I'm like, I don't mean it in a Solomonic way. He understood. Now me personally, like a lot of people don't know this about me, but I have OCD like severely, so like compulsive thoughts are bad with me. So my brain got weird and it's like, oh, he hates you because that thing is around his sigil and he doesn't like you and all this stuff. So I got really paranoid and I covered the letters. So now it's just his sigil just there with like black around it and it kind of looks like a flame almost.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool, but the way I approach it is very much not Solomonic. So I got so paranoid and in my head about it that he would be offended by like, the circles around him and everything like that, even though that after I covered it and I told him, he pretty much laughed at me. Was like, I didn't like it's not that serious to me. Like I understood what you meant basically, but I was just so paranoid. I'm like, what if it's disrespectful?
Yeah, that's actually that's more common than you think. Scare summoning demons is kind of scary,
No, yeah, absolutely. But I feel like it's
especially
like
if
fun at the same time.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's like addictive and amazing, but it is scary the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially if you have like a obsessive disorder like that, because you'll just get in your head.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I don't have obsessive disorder, but I've seen that it's hard for people who do.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. But to be honest, like my demonic deities have actually helped a lot with it. Like more than a therapist. So they help me like balance my thoughts, like understand that it's just in your head basically. You're just being like paranoid. So they've definitely helped a lot. So it can definitely like they can definitely help people with mental disorders. I just feel like people shouldn't rush into it because it can be dangerous for them too.
Yeah, yeah. My I'm not OCD, but I am retarded, basically. Um, my demons help me with that a lot too.
That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, they can definitely help with like mental health problems. Like they keep me very grounded. Specifically Azazel too. Like he does keep me grounded. A lot of the spirits I work with are very Beelzebub is another one. He's one of my patrons. So he keeps me in check a lot. And same with Satan, since now I've started like venerating him every single day. Um, he's been, protective and like making sure that I'm balanced. But yeah.
I wanted to ask you something else. Um, I feel like tapping into your ethnic heritage magically, it's just, I don't know, powerful as fuck. Like you have a natural resonance with whichever deities you're descended from. For me, that is Surtur. For you, that is Iblis. Did
Mhm.
you connect to Iblis more easily than Satan?
Um, I would say for the first time, yes. Because the first time I ever connected with Satan, I was very new, to be quite fair. So he could have been there, and I just didn't know how to really pick up on him. But the first time, I was just so anxious. I felt like he didn't really show up, but maybe it's because I was also so new. He felt like maybe I'm not ready to really feel his
Hmm.
energy yet. With Iblis, like the first time I did, right away, immediately was there. So yeah, it definitely feels like a more powerful and like natural type of connection, even though I do have that with Satan. It's just slightly different.
Yeah, I actually, that's exactly what I expected. I had to learn, how do I put it? I didn't know the value of tapping into your heritage until someone else told me. He was tapping into Haitian voodoo. So I'm like, okay. He keeps saying heritage is powerful as fuck. Let's see what mine's like.
Hmm.
And of course, I got great results with Norse paganism right off the bat.
Yep. No, I expected that, to be honest.
Yeah, even Odin likes me, which surprised me, partially because I'm mainly following Surtur when it
Mhm.
comes to Norse magic, also partially because I'm a cunt.
I could see why he likes you though. I feel like you're respectful overall, so
Yeah, of course.
plus it's like it's in your blood. So personally I'm a firm believer of that. Like I see a lot of people approaching like Middle Eastern magic and like it's fine to be curious, of course, but it feels like they're forcing themselves in it. And I'm not saying that for everybody. It's like just a few that I'm noticing. It's like they're forcing themselves when they have like a very powerful bloodline that's like most likely European. I'm like, why don't you connect with it? Like it's your deities are really powerful too.
Yeah. By the way, do you work with Pazuzu at all, by any chance?
No. I have like technically picked up messages from him for like other people. Because obviously I work with Lilith, so they're similar. But I don't actually work with him, no.
Ah, he is fun, and from what he's told me, his energy meshes really well with Jin.
Yeah.
Kind of like the opposite of mixing Magi with archangels, which is wildly unpleasant.
I don't really have like too much experience with archangels. I just keep with like I stay with like infernals in the Jinn.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I like summoning archangels because I think they're awesome. It's a me thing.
No, yeah, of course. Plus they're really powerful. So
Yeah, that's true. By the way, I think we should close this out, but we got to talk about you and what you do. So, you still sell tarot readings?
yeah, so the link tree that I had given you, or the all my links, because I don't use the
Yeah.
link tree anymore. So the one that I've given you, I did tag my little reading Instagram on there. It's a very small page, so if anybody does visit it, there's not too many followers. I kind of like it like that, just because I get like my regulars in there, and it feels like more authentic, if that makes sense. But anybody can just like, you know, text me, let me know if you want a reading. I usually give like a lot of, like, cheap ones too, like, I'll make sales and they'll be like 10 bucks, so it won't be, like, expensive at all.
Yeah, I have had a reading for you before. You did great.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
recommend you highly. There's a reason I keep privately referring people to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, it's very nice of you.
By the way, you also sell adult content. That's also in the link tree.
Yeah. So I do it's in there, I do have an OnlyFans, but, approach me respectfully. I've had people come in there and just demand shit. Very weird. Not following that, so as long as people are nice, then yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, you should treat her with absolute respect. She'll be mad if you don't, and I'll also be mad if you don't.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right. Have a great night and enjoy your immortality.
Bye.
Bye.